Hello, and welcome to a very special Thornton edition, coming to you from the Jerry Baby Products facility in Thornton. I'm Marilyn Pedersen, manager of InFocus, a market research facility specializing in focus groups. But I formerly served as editor and associate publisher of the North Glen Thornton newspaper and continue to write a weekly column that looks back at local history. May 1996 marks the 40th anniversary of Thornton's incorporation, and to celebrate, numerous activities, including the creation of an extensive exhibit of historic items, is planned. As part of the festivities, we present a special two-part Thornton edition. Yesterday, we began a special journey with a look back at Thornton's beginnings in government, business, and civic matters. Today, we will examine more recent government activities before gathering all our guests for a final forum. Our first group of guests have helped guide the city in more recent years. Many of them are still actively involved in municipal projects and services. We'll begin by asking each of you to introduce yourself and describe briefly your role with the city of Thornton. Mr. Loomis?
My name is Max Loomis. I have been a resident of Thornton since May 18th, 1954. I served on the planning board originally. Then I got elected to city council in 1976. Served there till the end of 1979. Served on the water board and mayor pro tem. I'm still a resident of Thornton.
My name is William Lewis. I've lived here since 1956. I've served on the city council, on planning commissions and other committees over the years. I'm presently still serving on one of the committees. I've been here for some time and enjoyed the city. Thank you.
I'm Tony Richter. I moved in the city January 1st, 1955. I've served on the council for 2.5 terms and 1 term as mayor. I was on the utility board and also on the planning and zoning commission, among other boards.
My name is Jack Etheridge. I'm the city manager here in Thornton, and I've been city manager for the past 10 years.
Thank you. We already have heard from some of those who have served the city during and after its incorporation. How would you say the city has changed since that time, and how has government service changed?
Well, when we became a city, I think our population was around 6,400. And then we keep growing to around 14,000. It stayed 14,000 for quite a few years. And we started annexing, and Thornton is now one of the larger cities in Colorado. So what we have done in the past is nothing but improve the city of Thornton.
I agree with everything that Max has said. It's really unbelievable to think that we're approaching 40 years of what we've accomplished. The city is moving ahead on all aspects, and I think the people have a lot to be proud of.
We often chafed under the designations of bedroom community, and we tried very hard to get commerce in here and industry, and we've been pretty successful over the years. And one of my pet projects was, of course, getting water in here, and I think the city manager here has been working very hard on it too. And I think our community has a lot to be proud of in that respect, the services that have been provided for the citizens.
Okay, Mr. Richter, do you have anything to add?
Well, since I wasn't here at the time it was incorporated, I can't reflect that far back, but I can say that that this community is built on a very strong foundation. The investment that was made in the utility systems, water and sewer systems in this community, the vision that the leaders and forefathers of this community had in annexing and in developing a planning process and merging communities in a compatible fashion have set a standard that we strive to maintain and to enhance as we look today and into the future.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis, I understand that you were the first chairman of the first planning commission.
Yes, that's true.
And you are on the planning commission today after being off sometimes, right? Can you maybe describe for us how the issues before the planning commission have changed?
Well, certainly. In our early days, as Tony mentioned, we were a bedroom city. We had just strictly houses. And there really wasn't too much planning being done at the time, to be honest with you. I think it shows. But today, I would call ourselves a modern, progressive city in which we're looking at every aspect of our future and industrial growth, commercial growth. So things have really changed in the last 40 years.
What about, I don't think you can discuss the history of Thornton without touching on the relationship with North Glen. Who would like to describe that?
Well, let me say this. I think that we attempted to help North Glen achieve their manifest destiny, and that's on their water system. I know they've had some problems in that respect, but I think since that time, we've been able to do the things we wanted without any difficulty with North Glen.
Okay.
If I might.
Sure.
You know, in the past, there have been some problems. But I think we've reached a point where the two cities had better take a closer look at each other and try to cooperate more. It may be to all of our interest, and I certainly would like to see that happen.
And Thornton, that for a long time, had one of the major newspapers did not like us at all. Every time they had a chance, they would print something detrimental to Thornton. So we had a little problem there too. It didn't advertising, and Thornton didn't have a very good name for some time. They've overridden that now.
You know, with regard to North Glen, there were a lot of issues, as the mayor indicated, with the severance of North Glen's portion of the utility system from Thornton. Thornton actually owned the utility system that was in North Glen, and North Glen decided that they wanted to condemn it and take it as their own. And some of those issues lingered on for many years after the severance. I think it is a mark to what Mr. Lewis was saying that we've been able to resolve those issues. We are doing things cooperatively. We're doing certainly in the area of public safety. We have a joint task force that we are working with in terms of investigations. We're about to enter into a joint SWAT team effort. We've had a joint volunteer coordinator victim advocate program where in times of need the victim advocate works in both cities. And so the relationships are certainly have improved, and I think that both cities clearly understand the necessity of doing more with less and the benefits of working together.
Well, I think the fire department coming together as one unit now has helped a lot.
Haven't they also entered into an agreement on Stanley some years ago? North Glen, Westminster, and Thornton.
That's correct, Mayor. That was the four-way agreement where we are working cooperatively along with the irrigation company and agricultural irrigation company in managing the municipal supply part of Standing Lake to the benefit of all the communities, and that has led to projects such as the Standing Lake Protection Project, which is a project that is designed to protect Standing Lake from any potential concerns with Rocky Flats. And so there's a variety of cooperative efforts that started many years ago that we're working on today or that we have been able to bring to fruition in the last several years.
Since we have mentioned water, I understand that you have quite a background in water issues. Can you discuss a little bit about the evolution of Thornton's water?
Well, first, the city had, we were on wells, deep wells, and some shallow wells down by the river. We knew that wasn't going to last, and we got into water acquisition quite early. And I also was involved in a group called Water for Colorado that was successful in getting the Strontia Spring Dam and the treatment plant over there in Denver, and a few other projects that we were involved in getting some water over there. So it was a cooperative effort with Denver, although it's been kind of sitting by the wayside here in the last few years. It was very successful for the city of Thornton, and we're also involved in that project over in the Fort Collins area, which I was out of the office by then, but I helped in the early days with that.
Okay. Max and I served on council which purchased the water system, and I think that was one of the greatest things we've done.
Yes, the city took a vote to buy the water system from the private owners. They usually set it up. That, besides having an election to become a city, before that, and then buying the water systems to the number one beginnings with Thornton, which is getting better all the time. And then we had our own sewer plant at one time too, which was down by the shops. Some of the buildings are still there. In fact, one of the round buildings has been used as a maintenance shop. Instead of tearing it down, building it, we used that one. And after that, we became part of the Denver Metro sewage line, which I think was a big help too. There was a lot of controversy over that. It worked out.
Was the vote on the water system, was there opposition to that? Tell us a little bit about the campaign.
We had opposition, but we went door to door and talked to people, and it passed by, I forget the margin, but it was a pretty good margin. Now, although the city, as far as becoming a city, had election one, it did not pass. Then we had a second election that passed.
That's right.
About 6 months later, wasn't it, Tony?
Yeah.
Weren't you also involved in the fire department?
I was on the volunteer fire department before I became on the planning commission. And then my job just wouldn't let me do the job I should have on the fire department, so I had to get off. Then I got on planning commission with Bill.
Well, I understand that you were involved in Mayor Leary's campaign, the first mayor's campaign. Is that true?
Yes, as just a citizen, yeah. That was my first step into working for a candidate in this city. It was kind of the start of things.
I also understand that you were involved in the original Thornton Days celebration.
Thornton Festival Days.
How did that get started?
Well, we were pretty active council when Max and I were on. We started that to try to do something to bring our citizens together and offset some of the things that were being said by the city of Thornton. In other words, at that time, anything that you heard publicly was sometimes negative. And we wanted to draw attention to the city, and we did a good job of it. We got ourselves on several of the radio stations and got some good publicity in the papers. And it was carried on for a number of years. It worked out great for the city.
Is the present Old Time Thornton Days a continuation of that celebration in a manner?
I would not say that they were directly a connection, but certainly I would believe the thought was probably the same, to carry it on.
Okay. Could each of you pinpoint a significant action during your tenure on council?
I could say the annexations, which we took when I was on the city council. All the annexation we took care of during that period of time is now paying off for the city. We wouldn't have the growth now if we didn't have that. And it's going to get better in the future.
Were there specific annexed areas that stand out to you? Or was it just a series?
When we first started going to the other side of 104th is what really got us started. Down to Colorado Boulevard, and then just kept going on 132nd. And I think that annexation, besides water, is two things that really helped on.
I would have to agree, water and the annexation movement to the city so that it would be open to move to the north. I think these were two of the major steps that opened the door for its future. I believe now, Jack, we're all the way to 168th, aren't we?
That's correct. We're to the Well County line.
Yes, so the city has really opened the door.
With that development, of course, again, water was necessary. I remember meeting with Bill Lewis and Jim Carpenter, former mayor, about building a new water treatment plant. We needed it badly. And so we did have some insight on the problem and some foresight to look and see what we needed. And we had to go after this water. It was very important. And we're one of the few communities who use, as far as I know, the funds to run the city instead of the other way around, and so that the system's paying for itself. And hopefully we have enough water for how many years?
We have enough water for many years of sustained growth. It depends on the growth rates, but with the new water project coming down that you mentioned earlier from the Poudre Basin, and we hope that will come down sometime after the turn of the century, we probably will have sufficient water for the 20 to 30, 40 years of sustained growth, depending on the growth rates.
But I think we also, when I was mayor, we brought in a lot of commerce, a lot of industry in the Washington Square area, and it was it put us on the map, basically.
Now, I remember when the first water we bought from the Highline Canal, we paid $325 an acre foot for it. And we thought that was a lot of money over there.
What's running now?
Several $1,000s, if you can buy it.
Mr. Etheridge, what about in the last decade? Is there a turning point you can pinpoint?
I think the turning point has been taking the foundation that was created in the city and pausing to take a look at what has been built, and then envisioning where we need and where the community wants to go in the future. The establishment of a mission and the goals and objectives, and then taking steps to put that in place, and at the same time staying in touch with the public as that transpires, to make those course adjustments and corrections that need to be made, because you generally never read things totally accurately, but you can read them fairly accurate. There's been a big emphasis on quality of life issues in the city of Thornton. There's now a second recreation center, a new recreation center in the city of Thornton. And there's a lot of public amenities that have been put in place. We've done that without forgetting the basics, without forgetting the need to make sure we have adequate water supply and adequate affairs and adequate connections for the citizens that live in the community. There's been a big continued emphasis of the efforts that were began earlier in creating a more industrial clientele. We're in one of the buildings here today of a continuation of that effort. We have followed the wise choice that was made by the previous city councils in creating an urban and rural area that we call the Thornton Development Authority. That created a special tax district that led to the city being able to build its own interchange. The Thornton Parkway interchange was built totally with local money. That has spurred a growth of retail and of jobs, generally oriented toward the medical profession, in and around 84th and 88th along Grant Street and in that environs. That has been phenomenal. And that all was possible because someone in the past thought about redevelopment of our community and made the decisions and the investment to do that.
Can you cite issues that are similar or dissimilar to the earlier, the pre-Etheridge years?
Well, I'm not sure that I brought any unique issues on my own volition here, but I think that the issues are probably fairly similar, maybe difference in the order of magnitude at this point. I noticed Max saying that we started with 6,400 citizens. Well, we have 65,000 citizens now. And so there's an order of magnitude difference that we're dealing with. Certainly the techniques and methods used by development, whether it be a commercial residential development, has changed somewhat over the years, and so we've had to adapt to deal with those issues. The world has gotten very competitive, not that it wasn't competitive, but it continues to be competitive. And so we have to be very competitive. We have to have good information and have to be able to market our community. And we have a lot to market, and we have a lot to market because of what people here in the past have created for us to market.
I'd like each of you also to briefly tell why you ended up in the Thornton area. What brought you, what attracted you?
We seen an ad for homes at $10,250. And my wife and I had just been married about 6 months. And we drove out one day. It was a long way out here. So God, we thought it was going to end up in Cheyenne. And they had 5 model homes. And some were already built, of course. So we looked at them and liked them, and so we drove back, and about 2 weeks later, we come back out again, and we bought one. And when I moved in, I think there was probably 600 people out here. We had to go down to 42nd and Washington to get groceries. There was one gas station out here. Nothing here at all. You had to drive clear into Denver on 2-lane roads then. That was a long way to go. But we enjoyed it. We've enjoyed our house. We've enjoyed Thornton. The city has, like we've been talking about, it just kept growing tremendously, and it's going to keep it up. And I intend on staying here. I live in the same house, and I'm going to stay there as long as I can.
I have to second what Max has said. I remember I had to shop on the way home from work because there were no grocery stores out here. I worked in Denver. So it was exactly what he said. We had half streets and the rest were mud, but things were developing. And as I've said before, it's just unbelievable what has happened in 40 years.
Well, I think Sam Hoffman took a big risk building out here, but well, like Max said, I was driving by one day and I saw these homes and I looked at them. Boy, 10,500, 3-bedroom, bath and 3-quarter, all brick. And we wanted to kind of get out of where we were, and so one thing led to another, and we bought and took all the risks like everybody else. We had to go clear to Denver to go to the picture show. There wasn't any picture shows, and that was just for starters. Max said we had to clear to 44th to shop groceries, so that's how we got started. I thought it was a good deal, and of course, then I moved. I filled it up with kids. I had to get another house, so moved over to Yucca Way, a larger home, I thought at the time, with basement and so on, but I stayed in the city until just the last couple of years.
And I moved here for the quality of life that was created in all this process. There were grocery stores when I arrived. There were paved roads and 4-lane roads. There were movie theaters to go to, and there was also good neighborhoods, friendly people, open space, places with parks for my children to play, and quality schools. And I think that's why people moved to Thornton. They liked that kind of life.
Well, one other problem we had was there were 3 school districts in the city limits of Thornton at that time. It still is, I believe.
More than that.
That's right, there was 4. And of course, you couldn't change those here. In fact, the citizens of Thornton themselves helped build Thornton Elementary School, the first one. We got up there and helped build it ourselves, because the school districts in those days had no money. There was nothing, farm equipment.
Nothing to do with it.
And so that's another thing that's changed, is these schools out here. That's another reason Thornton's good.
You've all had fascinating stories, and I want to thank you for being with us. We'll take a brief break and return with our guests from both days for a final wrap-up.
May 1996 marks Thornton's 40th birthday. To celebrate, plans are underway to create a special exhibit showcasing the city's history. To make this project a success, we need your help. We're seeking artifacts, memorabilia, photos, magazine and news clippings, and other eye-catching items that tell a story about Thornton's past. Items being sought might include home movies, artifacts, police badges, firefighter gear, high school yearbooks, knickknacks and heirlooms, promotional items, caps and jackets, signs, placards, posters, a key to the city, awards, plaques, and other miscellaneous items. Present and former Thornton citizens interested in contributing artifacts and items to the historical exhibit should contact the city's Public Information Office at 538-7238 or 538-7566.
Thornton Edition is a cable television program about issues that face the city of Thornton. The first show featured a walkthrough tour of the new $11 million Thornton Recreation Center. Thornton Edition airs continuously in Thornton every Monday through Wednesday on Municipal Channel 8 and on Public Access Channel 54 Tuesdays at 7 p.m. and Thursdays at 6:30. For more information about the show, call 538-7238 or 538-7566.
Welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed our stroll down memory lane. As you have seen, Thornton has a lot of history for such a young community, incorporated only 40 years ago. And it has been obvious, I think, that the force behind any of these landmark events and achievements was and is the people who have been and are involved. To conclude our program, I would like to ask each of our guests to relate perhaps a more personal recollection from their years of association with the city, or to pinpoint for our audience an action, event, or circumstance they view as a turning point for the area. Can we begin with you, Mr. Daniel?
Thank you. My goodness, one point, I think, was the time the leadership under Little Larry and Jerry Carley and many others. I remember Tom Crillo was the fellow that later became mayor that drew the incorporation map that we used in that proceeding. But I think the thrilling thing of the citizens of Thornton taking responsibility in that great one-sided vote for incorporation the second time around. And since then, it worked, and the community keeps growing and serving its people.
I think probably the most personal satisfaction that I can remember in this city of Thornton is we've raised 3 children in this city. They've gone through the school district here. They've all graduated from School District 12, and the accomplishments from the people in the city of Thornton really make you feel good.
Yes, I have 2. One is, Wes just reminded me of one. One is the birth of our twins. They were born prematurely, and by the grace of God, we happen to be in Thornton and have access to excellent medical care. And secondly, I think a turning point is at the point in time the City Council engaged not only the foundation bill from in the past, but engaged the future and began setting achievable goals and objectives based upon what the people in the community said that they wanted to see happen in this community.
I too we have raised 2 children, gone through school, and the most important thing for me was volunteerism and working together with other people and to see Thornton grow the way it has.
I think serving as current mayor of Thornton, the thing I would like to leave this group in this session with is a sincere thank you to each of the individuals sitting around this circle. Without each one of you, this city could not have come to be. Without each one of you, the city would not have grown in the way it's grown. Obviously, Maryland, there are lots of high points. And during my term, I guess what I would have to point out as a very high point was when the Thornton City Council, back in approximately 1986, determined to go ahead with what is now known as the Northern Water Project, building on the work of Mr. Daniel, Mr. Brown, the previous utility board, Mr. Lewis, Mr. Richter, and being assured that both the current and the future citizens of the city would have the water supplies necessary for the growth of this community.
Well, as the first mayor, I think that I'm overwhelmed when I look at the new facilities, the new courthouse, the rec centers, the parks, and all the improvements that have been made in this city. But my mind goes back to those early days when we didn't have any facilities or money, when the first city offices were on donated space up in the Thornton Shopping Center. We got furniture from the state of Colorado and other different sources to open the first municipal court and first offices. Then we moved from there to a Quonset building where the fire department, police, the city council, everybody operated out of a Quonset building until the new city hall. But my memory, of course, is serving with the fine, dedicated people that devoted their time and resources and talent to build this city. And that's what my memory is working with these fine people that are here and some of the people that have passed on that helped make this city what it is today.
Well, I think it goes without saying that the people in the community of Thornton were just amazing. It was so much fun to meet them, to get to know them, to do things with them, and to volunteer alongside of everyone. And when you did these things, you felt you'd really accomplished something, and you really did. Now, the friends that we made then have remained friendly with us for these last 40 years. And it's just been great to wander through town and say hi to this person or that person. The Brucians, we met many years ago, and Wes up at the supermarket, of course Oral when we started, and all of you people, one time or another, when I got to meet you, I knew that you were just absolutely representative of this fine city.
Okay, with me, I think the most personal joy I get is working with the seniors. We have, like Claire said, one of the best and one of the nicest and one of the most friendliest senior centers around, maybe in the state. When you go in there, if you're not a member or you've never been there before, you're going to feel right at home because we make sure that you're going to. And we have tried with the seniors to work not only the friendliness and everything like that, but to get involved in areas where we have worked on things that aren't right for the center. Like 2 years ago, we got smoking out of there. We have a free smoking center. Tony was one of the ones, along with myself, that worked on that committee. We had a lot of people that were mad at us because they didn't want to go outside and smoke, but they came back in a couple of years, and that's been one of my personal enjoyments, working with all those seniors that we have here in Thornton, because I grew up with them. I grew up from the time I was 55 until now.
Well, when I moved here, I had 2 little baby girls, my wife and I. And then since that, we had 4 more. I thought maybe it was the water, that's why I took interest in the water. One of the turning points I noticed was when public service had to undergo a very, very rough election to retain their franchise. At the time, they didn't have an office here. We were kind of like stepchildren. And REA was making a serious bid for areas like Aurora and Thornton. And if they had won, the complexion of the electric industry today and gas would have been entirely different. Well, they won, and so they provided us with offices and a little more help, more trucks out here. But I think overall the biggest turning point that I've seen with all the growth pains and everything is that due to the present city manager and mayor, Margaret Carpenter, really have seen maturity take hold in this city. That's not saying that we don't have controversies. We won't have controversies, but maturity in management and in the elected official. So, and I want to thank you folks.
As I look around this group, I see a lot of history, and as I see from the beginning to today, and I think that, as Tony has said, that Mayor Carpenter and our city manager, Jack Etheridge, and of course the present council deserve a lot of credit for what has happened in what we would call modern times. Some of us can go back and look at our early days and the cooperation of individual people working together to build the groundwork for this city. I think one of the high points for me is to see this city finally turn the corner with industrial and commercial growth. And as Tony said, that's maturity to me, and I think we reached that. And I look around here and I see smiling faces, and everyone feels that we're really a city and we're really here now. Watch out for us in the future.
I'm mostly proud of the community service that we've accomplished, that I was a part of, and through the VFW, because we were always able to get as many volunteers from our VFW post here in Thornton when we needed help for the city, regardless what the case may be. So I suppose our biggest accomplishment, in my opinion, is the community service that I was a part of. Thanks to everybody. Thank you.
Mr. Carley, would you like to relate for us the now infamous story of the christening of the swimming pool?
You mean when Mayor Leary made a big splash?
That's the one.
That was perhaps one of the biggest splashes he made as the mayor. But we as I indicated earlier, we had the pool presented to us by Mr. Hoffman when he moved out. And the pool was really just a pit of cement, a hole of cement. And it was up to the people to get it ready and get it going. And we were under the watchful eye of Joe Vigil of the Tri-County Health. And Joe was very good at his job, but he was sympathetic to our needs in the community of needing something with a little more recreation at the time. But when the pool was ready and Joe Vigil gave us his sanction, we put a microphone up over there, and really in those days all you had to do was to tell Mayor Leary there was a microphone over there and it was turned on. And get out of his way. He and I used to vie for the microphone, and I tell you, that's when I knew I would never be a mayor because I always came in second. And Tom Carrillo, too, was the third member of the group there, and Tom gave a little talk. I don't know in what capacity he was serving on that day at the dedication, and then Bill Leary made his. I was back in the background with my movie camera, a wind-up, high-tech movie camera of the day, you know, and with the roll of film that you had to put in with your hands and all, not a cartridge, but a roll. And I was taking these pictures, and I had prior information that they were going to Deep Six, Mr. Leary. And so when the speeches were over, the firemen who had been there and they had filled up the pool and got it ready, they all gathered around, picked up Bill, and threw him in the pool. I have this on film. It's only about 6 or 8 seconds. I've given it to Mr. Collins and Mr. Kelly. And so the film is with the city now. But it was just, you have no idea how good that made me feel.
I'm sure it makes Mr. Leary feel good.
I should have said here, should I?
That moment is saved for posterity.
Well, we went on from that great splash to build a big city, the best city in the world, Thornton, Colorado.
Yes, sir.
Well, I want to thank you all for joining us. I hope our audience has enjoyed this as much as I have. I'd like to thank my guests, Oral Daniel, Oyer Leary, Gerald Carley, Bob Frawley, Wes Brown, Jane Garcia, Claire Baruchin, Margaret Carpenter, Stan Solins, Max Loomis, Tony Richter, Jack Etheridge, and Bill Lewis. And we'd also like to thank Jerry Baby Products for the use of its facility today. If you have questions about today's program or with more information about Thornton Edition, please contact the Thornton Public Information Office at 538-7238 or 538-7566, or write in care of the Thornton Public Information Office, 9500 Civic Center Drive, Thornton, Colorado 80229. Please be sure to include your name, address, and telephone number so we can respond to your concerns. If you would like to get involved in Thornton's Historical Preservation Project, please call 538-7238 or 538-7566. Thanks again for watching, and please tune in again for another Thornton edition.